But I just want you to recollect what we are, where we are, and what we should be doing, so that where we will be will depend on what we do today. Well, the northeast of India, as you all know, covering the 7 sisters and 1 brother, it covers about 7.98% of the geographical area of the country. We have about 3.78% of the population of the country. And interestingly, we have a state which has just about 17% population density to about 398 population density in Assam. We are perhaps a very diverse area, diverse group of people in a compact area. That perhaps I believe is one of our strengths. The Northeast region, as stated by Mr. Biraj, we share a long boundary with a number of countries. And the boundary that we share with the mainland is just a small one, the chicken neck area. Our Northeast, I think it's one of the less developed regions compared to other parts of the country, though we have immense potential for development. What ails the Northeast? If we think about that, I think there are many things we can come up with. But the problems of political violence, insurgency, ethnic conflict, migration pressure, interstate disputes, and underdevelopment have become integral to the understanding of the political process and economic development of the Northeast region too. The economic factors, if we look at it closely, appears to be the more potent reason for the continued political unrest and uncertainty in the entire region. Irrespective of the stance and the vocabulary or the language that we use, economic causes emerge as a common theme in all the analysis of various problems in India's Northeast. Perhaps the most cursory look at this region would point to the fact that the region lags behind the rest of the country, particularly those parts of the country with comparable resource endowments. The economic development of the northeastern region is characterized by trends prevailing in the country as a whole, as well as certain features that are unique to our area. To a large extent, from colonial times, the country as well as our region has been an exporter of raw materials. And even today, perhaps that is not very far from the truth. This is evident in the way transportation and communication linkages developed in the region are still concentrated in the upper Brahmaputra Valley. The sprawling rural hinterlands continued with traditional agriculture, while revenue from the tea and oil sustained the urban centers. There is a large disparity in the various sectors of the economy and various sub-regions. The economic activities are concentrated in select pockets, even in our region. There are vast areas that remain still inaccessible and backward, even though there's a lot of developmental activities taking place. Recently, my department, under the government's innovative program, visited one area called the Shiloi Lake. I don't know whether people from outside the state knows, but Shiloi Lake is a very beautiful place on the Indo-Burma border. And this particular area, once you reach, you would not feel like coming back. But to reach from Kohima alone, it takes about 10 hours. Such inaccessibility is actually stopping its potential from becoming a tourist hotspot in itself. Though until recently now, the government has started developing a two-lane road to these areas. And if you go to these areas, you will find today that it has immense potential for economic development and even inclusive development. I believe that the lack of inclusive growth in our region is the reason for this vicious cycle of non-development. This vicious cycle of political unrest, this vicious cycle of non-economic activity that is happening in our region. Coming to that, inclusive growth, as you all know, as defined by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, represents an equitable distribution of economic progress throughout the society, ensuring that opportunities for advancement are accessible to all stakeholders. This concept holds immense global importance as it encompasses the fair sharing of economic benefits and opportunities across various sectors, fostering a resilient and broad-based growth pattern. We know what is a communist society. We know what's a capitalist society. But today, I think these two are less relevant. The more relevant is to come out with a collaborative society, which will ensure inclusive growth. The significance of this inclusive growth is underscored by the detrimental consequences of prolonged and pronounced inequality. In such scenarios, individuals with limited resources may struggle to invest in their own human capital or participate in economically productive activities. High levels of unemployment in the region contribute to substantial economic costs, leading to skill atrophy, reduced employability, diminished savings for investment, and a decreased overall potential output. Divergent interests among various social groups and the political process used to reconcile them can hinder growth, can lead to unproductive government spending, benefiting only a select few, and incite discord and social unrest. And I think that is what we see today in our society. Both inequality and unemployment can erode individuals' capacity to manage economic risk. As young entrepreneurs, I'm sure it is economic risk that you are taking, but you are taking a calculated risk. But unless you have that capacity to take the risk, you cannot become entrepreneurs. You cannot become successful entrepreneurs. Role of young leaders in our society today. As young leaders, you play a pivotal role in fostering inclusive development. You contribute to the growth and prosperity of the societies, not only in this region, but even worldwide.
I would like to express my appreciation and thanks to the National Foundation for India for organizing such an important conclave here in Kohima, with an aim to instill a sense of responsibility, a sense of leadership into the minds of the young leaders from the Northeast India. We also salute you for initiating such a noble venture in order to bring up the Northeastern states in all perspectives. So thank you, NFI, for your initiatives and also for this conference, for this conclave to be held in Kohima. Nagaland may not have the kind of infrastructure, the comfort you may have in your states, but I can assure you, we can also be a good host, like any other states. And so I wish a wonderful and pleasant stay in Kohima. In fact, you came at the right time, the right season, And I hope this conclave will be fruitful, meaningful, and it will be an action-oriented gathering for the benefit of the region. As mentioned earlier by the moderator, I was a student leader. For many years, I was involved in student activities as a social worker, as an activist. And even today, I consider as a social worker, even though I joined politics. And therefore, it is always a pleasure to interact, to associate and mingle with young people like you today. And for which I would once again thank the NFI for inviting me to be in your midst, to be amongst you this morning. Your themes, the topics that you have chosen for this conclave, they are vital, they are crucial for the overall growth and development of the region. I cannot agree more when you say that the northeastern region is blessed with an incredible natural beauty, a rich biodiversity, a rich cultural heritage. Yes, this region, our region, is adorned with mountains, beautiful mountains, treasure trove of rich mountains, and varied biodiversity. And for generations, we are enjoying the benefits out of this rich ecosystem. However, we all know this delicate ecosystem is now facing threats because of our human action. Our action like deforestation, hunting, pollution, climate change, and many more. We know the potentials of our rich ecosystem. We also know the challenges that lies ahead of us. And therefore, in a gathering like this, in a conclave like this, you must discuss, you must debate on such issues and come out with certain measures in order to sustainably protect and preserve the region's rich biodiversity for now and for posterity. And at the same time, we should also develop eco-friendly infrastructures, community-based tourism that will unlock the vast potentials of the region and develop or create a potential region for the ecotourism. We all know, and I'm sure you will all agree with me, we are not only blessed with rich biodiversity, but the northeastern region is also blessed with multi-ethnic, multicultural diversity as well. I always say this, I've traveled length and breadth of the entire northeastern states when I was a student leader. And I've always challenged our fellow friends that the diversity of the region, we should always use to our advantage. This diversity should not come to divide us further, to disintegrate us further. We have to make use of this diversity. Young leaders like all of you present here, I want to challenge you. I want to tell you let us try to understand the intricacy of the socio-political dynamics of our region. At all times, we must try to promote ethnic tolerance, cultural acceptance, understanding of each other's way of life, peaceful coexistence. We must try to promote this at all times. Otherwise, just a small spark or region, anytime, anything can happen. We know what is happening in certain states of the region. And therefore, we all must be aware of this factor, this socio-political complexities. We must all be aware of these factors all the time. We know what happened during the pandemic, post-pandemic also. Everything came to a standstill. The factories were closed down, industries were shut down, precious lives lost. We know what happened during the pandemic. But there is a positive aspect to me of that pandemic. What is that? It is the realization that this epidemic gave us the realization that we must go back to our land. We must work hard, use the traditional methods of cultivation, farming, or even introduce new technologies, be self-sufficient, and have food security. That was the realization given by, extracted out of the COVID-19 pandemic. And that is also the slogan of the government of Nagaland. And in line with that, as mentioned by the Directorate of Youth Resources, the Honorable Chief Minister, Shirine Purio, who is a visionary leader, he has introduced a scheme called the Chief Minister's Microfinancing Scheme. And also that innovation, the liberty that he has given to the departments to come up with the innovative works for the youths. And those are well accepted. Hundreds and thousands of interested individuals, entrepreneurs, women groups, self-help groups, they have applied for these schemes. And after availing this, if they utilize it properly, I am sure everybody will be benefited. We have other schemes from the central ministries. Coupled with the Chief Minister's microfinancing schemes, the innovation schemes, if all these schemes are availed and utilized to our advantage, then I don't find any reason why Nagaland, or for that matter, the northeastern state regions, we cannot bring about an economic revolution, economic transformation into our states or into regions. We have potentials. You must be aware of that, since you are dealing with the northeastern states for a long time. Northeastern states, we have potentials. The only thing we need to do is tap the untapped resources, tap the untapped potentials of the people and of the region. And I'm sure today your conclave is all about that. You are gathered here to tap the talents from the northeastern region. And we are looking forward that your conclave will be an action-oriented, result-oriented conclave. Nagaland, in 2021, we have also released a vision document called the Nagaland SDG, Vision 2030. This vision document is framed with the background of the 17th Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations in 2015. We know it's a challenge, it is a big challenge. It is kind of an ambitious target that we have set for ourselves, but we are hopeful with the participation of the stakeholders, like the grassroots leaders, the civil society leaders, the NGOs, and the government machineries together. Putting our heads together, we are hopeful that we will achieve these targets we have set for ourselves for inclusive and sustainable development of Nagaland.
Nagaland TV, Sob Manulaga Awas. Watch us live on Geo TV and on your television sets as well. For Dimapu viewers, we are on channel number 994 in Global Chapter, and Kohima and Mokokchung viewers, switch to channel number 138 on Hornbill Digital. For all news and updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.